The Princess and the Pea. In a land of kings and castles, a wise king yearns for a true princess for his son. But how can they tell who's real? A royal test awaits. The Princess and the Pea story. In a land far, far away, there was a magnificent and powerful king that lived in a big castle with its son and mother. That lived in a big castle with his son and mother. The prince was very smart, polite, and well dressed. But the king of our story was sad. He wished that his son could marry a beautiful princess, but he could never find the princess. Of course, in the kingdom of the king, there lived very beautiful and well-dressed girls who all claimed to be princesses. The prince searched a lot on his father's orders and met and talked with all the maidens, but in the end he returned to the castle empty-handed and sad. The prince told his father that it was impossible to know whether these maidens were really princess or not. The wise king smiled and said, "My son, you must be patient. You will understand when the time comes." The prince smiled and returned to his room. The night, the rain came with a big storm. The thunder began to blow with a great noise, and the rain began to pour with a sound like the hooves of thousands of horses charging into the battlefield. Suddenly, there was a sound at the castle door. Someone was behind the castle door. The king put on his cloak and opened the door. Behind the door, was a young lady who was standing wet and cold. The young girl said, "I am a real princess. I need dry clothes and a place to sleep. Can I stay in your castle for tonight?" The king allowed and invited them inside the castle. The king told the queen mother that the maiden said she was a real princess. The queen mother said nothing, but she thought to herself, "We will soon find out if she is a real princess or not." Then he gave the girl a clean and dry dress and said to her, "Wear this dress, and I will prepare your bedroom." The queen mother began to prepare the bedchamber, but in a very strange way. First, she removed the quilt, sheets, and mattress from the bed. Then she put a pea on the bed, and after that she put 20 layers of mats on the pea and placed a quilt between the mats. After that, she threw the sheets and quilt on the bed and told the princess that your bed is ready. The height of the bed, with its 20 mattresses and quilt, was so high that the princess had to climb a ladder to get on in and sleep. The prince went to the top of the bed. He pulled the quilt over himself. He blew out the candle and slept. The next morning, the princess went to the top of the bed. She pulled the quilt over herself. She blew out the candle and slept. The next morning, while having breakfast, the Queen Mother turned to the princess and asked, "My dear princess, did you sleep well? Did you sleep well last night?" "No, it was quite right," said the princess, a little embarrassed, and she continued, I'm very grateful for your kindness and hospitality, but there seemed to be something hard and uncomfortable under my mattress, so that I could not sleep last night. The Queen Mother was surprised and said, "Really?" And she returned to the king and the prince and said, "I think we have finally found the real prince, the real princess, because no one but our real princess has such a delicate and precise sense to distinguish a simple pea for 20 mattresses and 20 of my best quilts. You should get married immediately." The prince was very happy. He turned to the princess and said, "Dear princess, will you do me this great honor and marry me?" The princess was very embarrassed and blushed. He waited a few minutes for the morsel in his mouth to go down his throat. Then she said, "I have a condition." The prince said, "I accept whatever it is." The princess smiled and said to the prince, "Do you promise me that from now on, every pea that enters the castle will be for eating and not for sleeping?" The prince blushed with embarrassment and looked at her and said with a smile, "Of course, I promise." Prince and princess getting married.